Hey guys, so today we're going to talk about tools, why we need them, what are the best tools to get, etc, etc. I'm going to try to break this up into several parts because apparently I can only upload like a 15-minute video as of now. I don't know why. So we're just going to get started with part 1, and I guess I can talk about why we need tools. So a lot of people need tools for work. So you have carpenters, plumbers, I'm a mechanic or a technician, and you need them to do work. But you also might need tools to fix stuff for yourself. So if you're a do-it-yourself or you're someone that wants to be self-reliant to some extent, which most of us should strive to be, you need tools because we can't do everything by hand, or at least by our thumbs and fingers. So what I kind of have laid out underneath what the camera can't see right now is an assortment of tools, and we're going to talk about them one after another. They're not going to seem like they go together, but you'll see kind of where I go with this. And this is kind of in order. So if you own nothing, if you don't own any tools, you can use kind of this list that I make here to, I guess, have a checklist to acquire tools, right? So the first, I think it's 14, I could be wrong, 14, 15 tools. These are things that you can probably, or that you can get and probably should get. So we have, for starters, the pocket knife, the humble pocket knife. And the reason I say everyone, including you ladies, should get a pocket knife is they're very versatile. So in the coming struggles of life, or the coming struggle as Wrangler Star puts it, you might need a knife for survival situations, sure, but we can look past survival reasons to get a knife, and there's other practical reasons to get a pocket knife. And again, the brand right now, we're not going to worry about brands right now, we're just going to worry about the tools, right? So we're talking about pocket knives, but again, this is a category. So things that fall under this category can involve Swiss Army knives, box cutter, razor blade holder. They all do about the same thing. There's a lot of nuance there though, and in a future video we can go over that nuance. But if you don't own anything, the first thing I would recommend you get is a pocket knife, because there's a lot of things that you're going to need it for. The second tool I would get, and yes, these are tools, is a flashlight, some kind of pocket flashlight. Something you can keep in your car, your truck, you can carry it around. I carry this around with me every day. I carry that with this pocket knife here. They pair up nicely. But a flashlight, I use the flashlight probably more than the knife. However, I still think the knife's more important, and we can get into that in a future video. So anyways, the flashlight, like, anytime you need to work in a dark spot, right? So the flashlight, it illuminates things, obviously, but the more important thing is it illuminates things when nothing else will. So if you have a flat tire on the side of the road at night, how else are you going to see? With a flashlight. If you got to work in the attic doing electrical work, if you got to work under the sink, you need a flashlight or some kind of portable lighting, more than likely. Some attics do have lights, but point still stands, even if you go hunting. Really, both of these kind of fall into a universal category, but they, I don't know, I feel like these you should take everywhere with you almost. or at least have them available. Next thing, and it's kind of a duh one almost, is just a lighter. I mean, this is just a little, I think this is dead. Oh, no, there's a little flame. You can't see it on screen. Let me try to, I got a torch. Some kind of lighter. I know those two aren't really conventional lighters. I don't have any here. But a lighter, it's I don't want to say it's essential, but it's good to have one, right? For one, it's good for survival. Sure, you can light your candles at the house. If the starter on your stove goes out, you can use it to light the stove if you have a propane stove. It's kind of more of an honorable mention, so I just wanted to throw that in there. And this is kind of where we start getting to more what you would think of as a tool. So the next one is a hammer, and I would probably get a claw hammer. There's many kinds of hammers, and I'll actually do a video in the future on these as well. But why would you need a hammer? I'm going to hold the smaller one up. You need a hammer for general home repair. You need it for woodworking. There's a whole lot that you can do without having to call the landlord or having to call your dad, that you can do with just a hammer. A claw hammer specifically. You can pry up nails, you can drive nails, you can even use this for some automotive application. I got a random itch. So I recommend getting a claw hammer on top of that. And the next one, so that's kind of woodwork and carpentry. The next one's going to be more mechanic tool, and that is a adjustable wrench, or this is known as a crescent wrench. It's a Williams brand. It's a nice one, but it's a crescent wrench, adjustable wrench. And this is, again, another family of tools I got to do a future video on. But you have examples like you have the Ford wrench, or known as the auto wrench. I got these Knipex plier wrenches. And then you have even this oddball thing. It actually does pretty good. It doesn't look like it. But anyways, point being, if you're going off of this list, I would get this first. I'll explain why in a future video. But the reason for the crescent wrench is you can use it for a whole lot of things, right? Depending on the size, I mean, you can get these kind of wide open. Not this one in particular, but I know the channel lock ones open it pretty wide. But you can use this for some home repair stuff, some plumbing stuff in smaller sizes, mainly like brass fittings and whatnot. But you can also use this for a lot of automotive stuff, right? This was like the go-to. I think it was, I forget the Explorer. There's some kind of Explorer that went on a long flight, and one of the only tools he took with him was a crescent wrench. I'll do more research for that for the next video involving these. But you can use this, and this will pair nicely with the future tools that I talk about. But the crescent wrench, it pairs up good with wrench sets. It pairs good with sockets and ratchets. It's just a really good tool to have in your tool bag. So anyways, screwdrivers. That's the next tool. And again, this is a family of tools, and if you're getting one knife, one flashlight, one hammer, and one crescent wrench, or one adjustable wrench, you're going to be getting two at least. There's probably more you're going to get, because these are pretty, there's a lot of nuance there. You're going to need many different sizes probably. But for starters, if you're only getting one of each of these are the two. For starters, I don't know if the camera shows it pretty well. This is called a Phillips screwdriver, specifically a number 2 Phillips. There's other kinds of cross tips. That's why I don't actually call this a cross tip anymore. The Navy had me trained up to call this a cross tip. This is a Phillips. There's other kinds of cross tips. We'll talk about that later. But I would start off with the number 2 Phillips. It's pretty universal. And then a 1/4 inch flathead screwdriver. This is probably more universal than the number 2 Phillips. But if you get these two these two screwdrivers first, you're going to be pretty well covered. It's not going to get everything, and I would recommend, if you get these two, the next tool screwdriver wise you should get is where is it? It's around here somewhere. I don't know where it's at. A number 1 Phillips. Number 1 Phillips, which is one size smaller than this. Reason being is that if you try to use a number 2 in a number 1 and you need any kind of actual torque, this is going to strip it out. So, screwdrivers. Alright, and then my last tool for the day is long nose pliers. And there's a whole lot of nuance. I'm not going to get into it in this video because the battery is about to die again. But the long nose pliers puts effectively 3 or 4 different tools in one. You can reach into tight spaces and grab stuff. You can cut it with these cutters. You have different ways to pry. It's just a good overall tool. If you're only going to get 1 pair of pliers, this would be the first ones I would get. I hope that helped. I'll see you in the next one.